Welcome everybody. Today we are going to start with new bone, that is metacarpal. So metacarpal, there are two types of metacarpal, and these bones, they are the large metacarpal and the small metacarpal. It is attached on the caudolateral aspect. Now, proximally, this metacarpal is articulated with the distal extremity or distal row of the carpal bone to form the carpal joint, and distally it is articulated with the first phalanx and proximal sesamoid bone. This is proximal sesamoid. There are 4 proximal sesamoids here in ox. So distally it is articulated with first phalanx and the proximal sesamoid to form the fetlock joint. Now we'll separate these two bones, and first we'll see the large metacarpal. So large metacarpal, it is a bone from the metacarpus part of the manus region and is placed vertical in direction. Now, the large metacarpal is basically formed by the fusion of the third and fourth metacarpal, and that can be indicated by this particular groove which is visible here. This groove indicates that this bone is formed by the two bones which are fused with each other, and therefore we are able to see only one large metacarpal. That's why I said that it is formed by the fusion of third and the fourth metacarpal. If you take a cross section of this, you will see two medullary cavities. That also indicates that it is formed by the union of the third and the fourth metacarpal. Now, this large metacarpal bone is a long type of bone. As we know that the long bone presents body part and there are two ends or extremity or epiphysis. So I would say that the large metacarpal is characterized by presence of a body or shaft and two extremities here. Now, the body, when we look at the body looks as if it is compressed from cranial to the caudal aspect like this. It is compressed, and therefore anything which is compressed will have only two surfaces. This surface is cranial surface and this is the caudal surface. Apart from these two surfaces, there are two borders. Now one of these border is medial, one is lateral. Now we have to name. So while holding, we should see that the metacarpal, large metacarpal, should be held in such a way that the facet extremity should be kept up, and at the other extremity there are two condyles here. These condyles, they should be kept downward. Number one. Number two principle is the convexity should be kept in front and the flat surface should be kept behind. So I will hold it like this. So this becomes cranial surface, this becomes caudal surface. Third principle is necessary to know for providing names to the borders, because unless we know which is medial and which is lateral surface in this, and for that we'll have to look at the proximal extremity. So this proximal extremity is provided by two articular facets, 1 and 2. Both are of the different size. One of the facet is larger, so larger facet is on the medial side, and therefore this is here the larger facet, therefore that side border I will name as medial and the opposite border will be named as the lateral border. So again, coming back to our first statement, that large metacarpal is a long type of bone, presents body part and two extremities. The body is compressed cranio-caudally and therefore it presents two surfaces, the cranial surface and the caudal surface. The cranial surface is smooth and convex, and in its middle it presents a groove. It presents a groove. Now this groove is present on the cranial side. The groove is longitudinal and groove is meant for the passage of the vessel. Therefore, we have to combine all these names: cranial, vascular, longitudinal groove. Now, inside this groove, you can also see that here there is one foramen and the other foramina is here. Now, looking towards their location, this foramina is located proximally and this is located distally. Both are within the cranial, vascular, longitudinal groove, and therefore it can be named as proximal vascular foramina and distal vascular foramina. So cranial surface is smooth and convex. In its middle it presents a groove called as cranial vascular longitudinal groove, within which there are two foramina which are named as proximal vascular foramina and distal vascular foramina. Now the caudal surface. This is caudal surface. It is rough and roughness is provided for the attachment of the suspensory ligaments and the flexor muscles. This surface is also characterized by presence of a groove, and this groove, since it is located on the caudal surface, it can be termed as caudal vascular longitudinal groove, and here also you can note the presence of two foramina. One is on the towards the proximal extremity, so proximal vascular foramina, and the other is distal vascular foramina. Then regarding the borders, we have named the borders by looking at the facets. This is larger facet and therefore this border we have named it as the medial border and this border is the lateral border. Both these borders are nearly straight. So that completes our body part. Now we'll see what are the structures present at the extremity. So this is proximal extremity. Proximal extremity is characterized by presence of two articular facets, and these facets are separated from each other by there is one ridge which is placed cranially, and behind that there is a notch. This is the notch. Therefore, the statement which I am going to make is proximal extremity is characterized by presence of two articular facets which are separated from each other by a ridge in front and a notch behind. The larger facet is on the medial side and it articulates with the second and third fused carpal bone like this. This is second and third fused carpal. And smaller facet is on the lateral side and it articulates with the fourth carpal. This is fourth carpal bone. Now, this is cranial side. This is medial aspect. So cranio-medial aspect, just below the facet, there is this white colored structure which is rough protruded, means it is a tubercle or tuberosity. So cranio-medially, just below the facet, there is a tuberosity. This tuberosity is named as the metacarpal tuberosity, and it gives attachment to the extensor carpi radialis muscle. Now, similarly, there on the caudolateral aspect, this is caudal part. This is facet is smaller, therefore this is lateral. So caudolaterally, just below the facet, there is one small facet here. I will mark it with pink color. This is the smaller facet. This smaller facet is for articulation with the small metacarpal, which is attached like this. Now, as we have said that large metacarpal is formed by the fusion of third and fourth, and this small metacarpal is attached from the caudolateral aspect. Since we count all these metacarpals, we give number from medial to lateral. So this is third and fourth, and on lateral side there is small. So this small metacarpal represents the fifth metacarpal in case of ox. Now at the distal extremity, it is characterized by presence of two smooth, rounded articular areas, means condyles. So this is one condyle, this is second condyle. These condyles, they are separated from each other by, there is one cleft here in between. So this cleft is named as intercondyloid cleft. Now each of the condyle is again divided into two parts, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, by the presence of a ridge. This is the ridge. This ridge is passing from cranial to caudal, therefore it can be named as craniocaudal ridge. So distal extremity is characterized by presence of two condyles separated from each other by intercondyloid cleft. Each of the condyle is again divided into two parts by craniocaudal ridge. Now caudal is just above the condyles. These are the blue color structures. These are the depressions. These depressions are for articulation with the proximal sesamoid bone, this way. This is proximal sesamoid. One will be here, second, third and fourth. So there are four proximal sesamoids on the posterior aspect just above the condyles. So this is all about the large metacarpal. Thank you very much.